So often when I see clients with a chronic pain issue, they think it's done. They think that they did the physical therapy, they had the surgery, they did the physical therapy, it should be done. And it might have been done then, and you felt better for a little while, but now it's come up for healing. The residual trauma is ready to be healed. I take it as a sign of strength. Your body is ready to deal with this now.
Welcome to Beyond the Pain, the podcast that explores what it really takes to break free from chronic pain and reclaim your life. I'm your host, Leigh Brandon, and someone who's spent over 2 decades helping people get to the root cause of pain that no one else could explain. Whether you're dealing with long-term back issues, joint pain, nerve discomfort, or mysterious symptoms that just won't go away, this show is here to help you go deeper. Because beyond the pain, there's clarity, strength, and power waiting for you. Each week, we'll uncover the physical, emotional, biochemical, and energetic causes of pain and how to transform them. Let's dive deep into this week's episode. In today's episode, I'm joined by Beth, a health coach who specialises in bioenergetic testing, and her journey into this work is a fascinating one. She actually began her career as a mechanical engineer before being drawn into health and healing through a deeper curiosity about how the human body really works. In our conversation, Beth and I explore what bioenergetic testing actually is, how it works, and why it can be such a powerful way of listening to the body's innate wisdom. We talk about pain not as a mistake or malfunction, but as a form of communication, a signal inviting us to pay attention rather than simply suppressing symptoms. We also dive into the role of emotions in health, how modern technology can support energetic and holistic approaches, and why true healing often requires us to move beyond a purely mechanical view of the body and integrate multiple layers: physical, emotional, and energetic. This is a thoughtful, open-minded conversation about self-healing, personal responsibility, and learning to trust the intelligence of the body rather than overriding it. So if you've ever felt that your pain is trying to tell you something, or you're curious about energy medicine and new ways of understanding health, you're going to get a lot from this episode. So let's dive in. Beth, welcome to Beyond the Pain. It's great to have you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. And now I always like to start the show at the beginning. So Beth, could you share your story? So what led you into the world of bioenergetic testing and, the work that you're doing today?
Well, this is what led me into it,
My podcast, no?
yes, and I really got tired of people complaining about things that I thought they should be able to figure out regarding their health. That is the honest truth of how I got into this. So I've been a student of health my whole life, and my background is as a mechanical engineer. So I have 35 years of solving problems. I just naturally apply that to everything. When I get a headache, I figure out, well, why did I get a headache? Am I dehydrated? Was I thinking stressful thoughts? Was it the lighting? What happened? And over the years, I've realized that not everybody thinks the way I do. And I want more healthy people in my life because healthy people are more fun. They are great to be around. They make really good decisions. They're super creative. And they make for better family members, better friends, better people in the community, better people in the world. And so I switched from engineering to being a health detective, which is a name one of my clients gave me because I thought, let me help people solve these problems that you really can figure out. And bioenergetic testing, like you mentioned, that's only one of the tools that I use. It's not a phrase that I came up with. That technology has already existed. But I took
Mm,
everything that I know, put it together, and as a health coach, I help people solve problems with their health.
mm. So, how long ago was it that you made that decision to switch from mechanical engineering?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So it's a relatively short period of time. So what was it about bioenergetic testing that kind of attracted you to it?
Okay, so I hope we have time for a little story.
Oh
But
yeah, I like
bi-
stories. I like stories.
so bioenergetic testing is the last piece that made it work for me. So I'm an engineer and very practical, very grounded. So go back almost 24 years ago, and I'm a new mom, and my infant son has just fallen asleep. I am thrilled. He's sleeping. I can put him down. So I have him in my hands, little infant, and I put him down in the crib. I'm thrilled. He's still sleeping. I back away down the hallway. I have my hands up, like, oh, he's still sleeping. I did it. I'm doing it. I'm rocking this being a mother thing. And I can feel steel cables between my palms and his body. What is going on? I have never felt anything like this before. And as it happens, all of this information comes into my life. I learn about energy. The little massage studio down the street puts up a sign that says, now offering Reiki. My husband turns on the television. Oh, we have a program tonight on Reiki and other forms of hands-on energy healing. It just keeps coming and coming. Okay. It turns out, as you know, children teach us. And my son's way of teaching me how I needed to take care of him was through energy work. So I did the trainings. I became a Reiki master teacher. I had no intention of helping anyone other than my small family. And for many years, that's what worked. And then I became acquainted in caring for my son. As children grow, they get exanthems of expressions of growth and seasonal things. And so I turned to homeopathy. And I used a homeopath and I was fascinated. So what do people do? I got my materia medica and started studying homeopathy. And I studied and studied. I'm a homeopath. And between the energy medicine of hands-on healing, the energy medicine of homeopathy, that was pretty good to get me through raising my son and taking care of my family and myself. And I had been accumulating so much health wisdom. I studied with naturopaths. And this was just fun. I was still a practicing engineer. This is just fun. This is like, I need to know how my body works. And learning that my body has an innate wisdom that wants to
Mm,
heal. So I know I am healthy. I can walk into any room and come out healthy. There is nothing that anyone can do. It is so unshakable. And so then when I began realizing that not everyone thought this way, and I thought, well, how can I help people who don't know themselves as well as I do? When I found bioenergetic testing, which is digital muscle testing, that was the missing piece. So if you've ever been to a chiropractor, applied kinesiologist, nutrition response person, anybody, many, many people, you can do it yourself. I learned muscle testing, and in person, it shows when your muscle goes weak, it's not right for you, or something's out of balance. And when it's strong, then there you go. It's a yes. You can do this by leaning, you can do this with yourself. And so bioenergetic testing, it's been around for 100 years or more. And with the advances in electrical engineering, digital technology, and modern physics, I have lab grade equipment that allows me to do this quickly with software anywhere. And that was the missing piece that said, well, I think I have the right combination of things and it works. And that's how I can help figure out things that people struggle with.
Mm. Well, that's a really interesting story. Um, it's interesting you use the term health detective because I first heard that term used by a guy called Reed Davis, and he runs an educational body called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And I studied with him back in 2007, 2008. And that's exactly what he suggested that we are. Once we've studied functional diagnostic nutrition, we are health detectives. We're trying to lock down the crime scene and, you know, gather up all the clues and work out who the culprit is, right? Or in this case, the root cause of someone's condition or root cause is. So that was quite interesting. So whilst you moved away from mechanical engineering 2 years ago, this has obviously been a much longer journey than 2 years. I mean, it sounds like it's a 24-year journey.
Yes, absolutely. It is.
And what's interesting, um, when you talk about your definition of bioenergetic testing, it's the testing of the body through, muscle testing, or as you said, you can do the swaying forwards and backwards, etc. I'm quite familiar with those because about 20 years ago, I started studying the body talk system, which relies on that. And then more recently, the last couple of years, I've been an emotion code practitioner that also uses muscle testing to kind of find out what's going on in someone's, I was going to say body, but it's more than just their body mind complex. So that's really interesting. So you've looked, you've studied Reiki, you mentioned homeopathy, a little bit of naturopathy as well. So it's quite well rounded from, in terms of your knowledge base. And then through using the testing, I guess you can use the knowledge that you've learned from those subjects to work out what's going on in the body. Is that kind of how you work?
It is. So I also do trapped emotion release based on emotion code
Right.
because the system that I probably have the most complicated bioenergetic testing system that exists. It's totally customizable, and I program everything I know into it. So I create my own tests. And so if we were working together, I would send we're electromagnetic beings
Mm,
living in a world of ether. We are connected even though we're not standing in front of one another. So I can send electrical signals to you that have information and then measure the response. And so that's what the equipment does. The software registers it. And I'm able to customize what questions I'm asking. And I'm able to ask it much faster because I don't have to verbally speak it to you. And then myself, my own physicality, interpret your response. It's very logical, which
mm,
appeals to me. And then anything that I know, whether it's would castor oil packs help you? What yoga pose would be helpful? If I'm not sure, I can test for it. I just create a test and let's go and check what does your body want to look at your wrist or to look at your hip or you're tired and you don't know why. Let's figure out where does your body want to start first because if I just rely on protocols and generalities, might work, might not, might be too much. So those are the combinations. And there's with the homeopathy and also with the emotions, I'm looking at emotional support from where you are right now and your stressors, as well as what could be from the past that you didn't have time to deal with because we were too young. Life goes so fast. We just don't have the resources. And so this supports. I'm definitely not a therapist, but I do want to get to a good result for my clients the quickest way possible.
mm. Yeah. So is it kind of like you're pointing them in the right direction? Is that kind of what you're doing at the moment?
Well, with bioenergetic testing, it's not just about finding problems and what's out of balance, because nobody needs another list of problems. I'm also finding out what you need to be in balance. So I'll find the right Bach flower essence, the right essential oil, the right crystal signature frequency. Um, if you're deficient, if you have a nutritional deficiency, is it a mineral? Boron, magnesium, zinc, copper, what is it? Is there a copper, magnesium, iron mix up, like where that triangle is out of balance? What is
Mm.
it? Is it, are you sensitive to eggs? You think you're sensitive to eggs, but you're not sure. Let's test that. And then what do you need? Well, all of those things that you need, I'm collecting all of that. And then I create a custom homeopathic. I imprint usually over 100 different energetic signatures into a bottle of drops and some patches, and then I send them to you. And then every time you take them, your body says, oh, that's what I need to be in balance. So that, combined with coaching about lifestyle, it would be wonderful if just energy worked all the time. Sometimes it's like
Mm.
that, with
Mm.
the motion code, sometimes that is just super transformative. But
Yeah.
sometimes, you need a little help with boundaries, or you need a little
Yeah.
help with making better decisions. There you go. And that changes things.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, even the body code, which I'm on the last couple of chapters. So for those that don't know, the body code is builds upon the emotion code, but it looks at more different areas of the body and including the physical body. And it might, for instance, highlight again a nutrient deficiency that a person has, as an example. So what I'm not quite understanding yet, and I'm quite inquisitive, so I like to ask questions. So as someone that does muscle testing on someone, I'm still trying to understand what the difference is between what I might do with someone and how you use the machine. Can you
I,
explain that in a bit more detail?
sure.
One thing I've learned after years of helping people out of chronic pain is that your body wants to heal. It's always trying something, but sometimes your diet is triggering inflammation faster than your system can calm it down. When you remove those irritants, healing finally gets ahead. The Pain-Free Plate walks you through 7 foods that support this process. Download it now at bodycheck.co.uk/pain-free-plate. Now, back to the episode.
Do you do your work remotely or only in
Yes,
person? Okay, so great.
only remotely.
Okay, that's the first paradigm. There are many people who aren't even ready to make that jump. So great.
Mm,
Yes, energy works remotely. We've got that nailed down. The only difference is I could just do it faster. I can go through thousands of questions. I can uh, look at every system and organ, and then what amino acid, what mineral, pollutants, environmental toxins, list. So the system comes with tests, and then I can also build my own. Which supplement? So if you were doing it, you would have, and I don't sell supplements, but sometimes when people are deficient, a supplement is what they need to get back on track, because it's going to take too long to get there with just eating beef liver, for example. So
mm,
when I've been to an applied kinesiologist, the supplement bottle goes in their hand or my hand, and they test. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? And they're sharp. They know, like, okay, I don't have to test the whole line. I'm going to focus on these few. I can just scan and in 2 minutes go through an entire product line. So it helps me not rely on generic protocols. Like, I think you need digestive enzymes, so that's what I'm going to test. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe there's something else that's causing the indigestion. Maybe there's something else that's the reason the nutrients aren't being absorbed. So that is really the only difference. I've studied mechanical engineering for 35 years and my own body. You have studied your area of expertise for longer than that. So you know where to focus, and done well, you hit it like a bullseye. Bioenergetic testing and all of the tests and scans compensate for those decades that I don't have.
Mm.
And it allows me to stay specific to who I'm working with and not relying on, I think that your sciatica is caused by this way, so we're just going to focus here, which you need to do when it's more of a manual process because there isn't time for everything.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, so if I'm working with someone, the way that I believe this kind of testing works. So, and again, some people might think what I'm about to say is completely woo-woo, and I'm going to preface that by saying my definition of woo-woo is oftentimes just things that science hasn't been able to prove or disprove yet, right? So the way that I understand it works is that my subconscious can speak to another person's subconscious and ask it questions, and through the testing can give me yes no answers. That's my understanding. And I also believe that the other person's body, the person I'm testing, will bring up the most important thing for them at that particular time. So what I'm still trying to get my head around is how does a machine do that?
Oh, because the first test I run is where should we focus first? And so instead of me doing it, I am sending, so everything has an energetic signature.
Mm,
Every our heart, our brain, our body, even inanimate objects, living objects, plants, natural, everything in the natural world, sense, music, organs. So if I ask a question, and to be honest, the manufacturers of this equipment do not go into great detail. I don't have the keys to. I won't be able to tell you exactly how it works. I don't know. I've been through their
mm,
trainings, but no, I'm not going to be able to tell you the modern physics and exactly how this is working. But I do know that it works because I proved it over and over again before I ever launched anything. I did, and I did all my testing, I did about 30 tests blind, where I didn't know anything about someone. And I said, this
mm,
is what came up. And they said, oh, how did you know that? And so how it works is when I do a test is I start with organs and systems. And some practitioners start by scanning their hand top to bottom. You might think it. It might be where should we focus first? Or that might not be done without even moving your hand because you can just scan down. I know some practitioners just imagine the body and they're going and just checking where should we focus. So
mm,
what the bioenergetic testing equipment does is sending little signals. Is this imbalance? Yes or no? Is this imbalance? Yes or no? Yes or no? And so at the end of the first test, I know this is what your body wants to focus on. And there's some people it's one thing, some people it's 10 things. And then the next set, everything else I do after that is how do I help bring that back into balance? And that's where the custom homeopathics come in. That's where the custom frequencies come in. And there is a parameter in there that I can look at to see, is this something that needs to be in physical form? Do you need to take magnesium in physical form? That comes up all the time. Yes. Should it be topical, oral? Which one? If I sold supplements, I could test different brands. And then that's how I start with it. So it's I don't think that technology replaces a trained practitioner with good intuition. And what you're saying as a definition of woo-woo is exactly right, because as an engineer, I have a really good understanding of energy as we see it in the physical realm, the electricity in the walls, the power to run an electric vehicle, as well as feeling energy in myself and in other people, close
Mm,
and at a distance.
mm. So again, I'm just really inquisitive, and it really interests me. So this is why I'm asking questions. So I'm guessing that the machine has some kind of algorithmic protocol within it. Would that be right? And
Oh, yeah.
it's got certain information about the human body, physical and non-physical, and it's running some kind of protocol or algorithm. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes, it is, because there's equipment that is sending and receiving electric signatures, and there's also software. So yes, there is an algorithm, there is a protocol. What it is, I don't know. There is a process for me to create my own custom testing and protocols following the instructions that I learned, and then I can then I can utilize that, which is the part that I like the most. The part that when I learn something new, I want to be able to add it to that, as well as, for example, fasting. I work with a lot of women. Women have trouble with fasting, and
Mm,
uh, so I can check. I could just say on my own, well, this is what I know, this is what I've studied, and these are what these leading researchers say about fasting for you and your type and how you should do it. But let me just check. Should it be a 14-hour fast, 16-hour fast, a one day a meal fast? Should you try to get into a light ketosis and cycle? What is best for you right now? And for me, with my background, testing that those series of questions, it's all Boolean. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Then I feel better. Like, well, okay, let's talk about what one day a week you do just one meal. Let's see how you feel, because that came up as beneficial for you. As instead of recommending that to all my clients. Hey, it
mm,
worked for these 5. It's going to work for the next 5. Just take
mm,
one day. It might be too much for some people to start with.
mm. So let's imagine I'm working with someone as a client. They're based in Los Angeles, let's say, and my understanding is everything in the universe is connected. We're connected at the subatomic level. We're all just energy and vibration. So I'm connecting into this person, and my subconscious is asking their subconscious questions. How does a machine get involved in that interaction? Because again, I'm still not quite joining the dots.
You're not using a machine, you're using your own brain.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
how do
I'm not
so where?
so when I'm doing it, like, so to me, I have testing, I have all of my health knowledge that I impart during health coaching calls, and I have a bioenergetic testing process that I do once every 4 to 6 weeks for clients, because the end result are your balancing remedies in a bottle of drops and patches. And so then my clients take those for 4 to 6 weeks. And then we repeat and see, and we go a little deeper. So you, the process you're describing is a parallel process. You would not, you would be fighting. There's no need to fight a machine. It's just you have your tool and process, which works really well for you. And I have a different method that involves using technology to help me out. That's
Okay,
all.
okay. So again, I'm still trying to fully understand this, because I'm someone that likes to understand things. Probably like an engineer, right? You like to
Yes.
understand how things work. Um, so the connection between you and someone you're working with. So using the bioenergetic testing is still the same way that I would do it, right? Is that correct?
It is. We're still connecting. I still need to know who I am talking to. I have to make sure I have their permission. There is an energetic connection. Absolutely. And when I do what you call the emotion code part, what I call the trapped emotion release part, I switched into Reiki mode because that's how I know how to move energy. So
Mm,
I have my own protocol of calling on my guides, calling on my team, connecting my team with my client's team and with my client. And then the part about the process of removing emotions might look similar at that point, but I am aware of the things that I have experienced as a Reiki practitioner. Sometimes I feel when I'm removing an inherited emotion, the family is in the room with me, and I feel that. You might too. Or I feel the resistance. I feel the client saying, "No, I don't wanna let that go. It's in a heart wall, like, it's stuck." And you probably feel that too. So, that is not a machine thing. That was like an objective, like, "Okay, let's pick an emotion." Like, how if I could ask a question back to you, when you're working
mm.
with emotions and your client has told you a story of their life and like something very impactful, you tell me, how do you put your bias aside so that you don't say, oh, it must be this emotion, and you go through and check which one, because we're so quick to say the one that wants to be released might be something that resonates with us,
Mm.
and using an objective tool to go through and say, is it this one, this one, this one, this one? It takes my empathic self out of it for that step.
Okay, so I think I might be understanding now. So is the machine the protocol that you're going through?
Machine has tests in the software that I do use, and I program my own tests in there too.
Okay, so when you say test, what do you mean exactly? Because when I'm thinking test, I'm thinking muscle test, yes, no questions.
Hmm. And for me, a test has hundreds of questions inside of it.
Okay, can you explain that?
At the start, which organ or system needs support today?
Uh-huh.
Is it your eyes, your ears, your nose, all the way down, your liver, your spleen, all your hip flexor, your toes, your gallbladder, your urinary system? Yes, no. To me, that's one test.
Uh-huh.
All of those things. Let's survey that, and then I can run that in a few minutes, and then I know what's out of balance. Then I proceed to other tests, which are groups of questions on how to balance it. I do have a test that is only one question, and that is, what's the next test needed right now?
Pain can feel random, but it never is. It's a pattern, a stack of stressors happening faster than your body can recover from them. Poor sleep, gut irritation, emotional stress, movement imbalances, food triggers, EMFs, it all accumulates. When you reduce that load and support the weak links, pain becomes easier to manage. If you'd like help identifying your personal pain pattern, book a discovery call with me at bodycheck.co.uk/consultation. All right, let's get back into the conversation.
And sometimes it's a symptom emotion correlation. Sometimes it's digestive. Sometimes it's metabolic. Sometimes it's radiation. It's very interesting. And I go where my client is giving me the information.
Mm.
I've never had such a great, detailed, process oriented conversation because I haven't ever talked to someone who really understands the deep work of connecting to someone's innate intelligence
Mm.
and figuring out what they need, which you do. And I try to do every day that I serve my clients as well, just with a different methodology.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm also asking these questions because I think if I'm not sure, I'm guessing the audience probably aren't sure either. Now, I'm still not sure. So, is the machine, so what, I guess what I'm trying to understand, is the machine a protocol to follow, or does the machine actually do the testing?
The software has protocols that I can activate. The machine does the testing. The machine
Okay.
sends the signal. It sends an electronic signal to you, and then it bounces back and gets a response. It sends the
Okay.
signal and it receives the signal, and then that is measured, and the measurement is captured in the software.
Okay. I've got it. I've got it. I finally got it. So I've been a bit slow, but now, okay. So now I get it. But I still have another question. I understand how, like, I can consciously focus on another person and tap into their subconscious, innate wisdom, or whatever you want to call it. How does a machine do that?
That is a mystery. The way I was trained and the way I've seen it work every single time is I need personally identifying information as much as possible. When I was trained, it was name and birth date. I use name, birth date, address, and I always have my client's email address. So I put that in, and phone number. That, believe it or not, gets me to you. And that's a part of the does this work remotely question that some people can make the paradigm leap and get into. And there's even a difference between being able to do it how you do it remotely. And I've done remote energy work. That's even more common. If I said, well, I'll give you energy healing remotely, and I'm not giving you, I will help facilitate that. And there's more of an acceptance around that. Bioenergetic testing and what I'm describing is new. I'm okay with it being new. I'm okay with answering all the questions. I'm also okay with not knowing exactly how this equipment works because I've seen it make a difference and
Mm,
I've seen its accuracy. So
mm,
that works for some people. Other people's like, nope, I need to know exactly how it works otherwise. There's a lot of things that
mm.
people don't know exactly how it works, but they just accept it
Yeah.
because someone has told them
Yeah.
a very good story. There's a lot of things in the mainstream traditional approaches that people accept as fact and think it means something that it doesn't mean. And I'm not here to go into that, but common things, common tests that people think is like could be inscribed in granite because it's so true. If they knew, it is really not as true as they're being shown on that piece of paper with the results.
Mm. Yeah. Again, I could talk all day about those kind of things that people believe to be true, and I have done multiple episodes on things like that as well in the past. But we won't go
We
down that
will.
rabbit hole. Um, what's interesting when you were saying about, if you've got someone's, I think you said address and what did you say, age
Birth date.
and their address,
Yep.
birthday.
Name, birth date, address. I include email and cell phone. I fill out, it's a software program. I fill out all of the
Mm,
fields that I can. Like,
mm.
I want to make sure it is there. When I was trained, the training was name, birth date.
Yeah, the reason that actually brings back a memory of mine. So, as part of my body talk training, I took a class called Mindscape with a guy called Chris Attard, who's from Malta, and it was a weekend. It was a weekend class, and I remember we were doing lots of stuff, and it was pretty cool. And I love to learn. And then it got to the end of the final day, and he said, "Right, what we're going to do now? You're going to get into pairs, and you're going to write on a piece of paper." Um, if I remember right, it was their address and their date of birth. I don't think it was even their name, if I remember. I could be wrong. It might have been their name as well. I can't remember. And you would hand the person you're working with that this person's info. So it's someone you know. So you write the details of someone you know, and you hand it to the other person, and vice versa. And I went first, and I just sat there thinking. Basically, the task was describe the person that your partner has, whose details is written down. Describe them in as much detail as possible. And we were also told, do not take on that person's emotions. Right? Just describe them in the best detail you can, but without taking on their emotions. And my first thought was, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, this is, I almost thought this is crazy. Like, I'm just going to, sit here and just feel a bit stupid because I won't be able to do it. And I just sat there with this piece of paper in my hand, and then I just started talking, and I don't even know where it came from. And I just said, I'm seeing this tall, big built guy with dark hair, and he's wearing a black pinstripe suit with a white shirt and a red tie, and he's got black shiny shoes on, and he feels quite cold at the front, but he feels warm on the back. And I said to this lady, is it your son? And after I said all that, I thought, where did that come from? I didn't even know where it come from. And she was sat there with her mouth wide open when I said this. And I was like, what? And she said, you've just described my brother when he was younger. She said he used to work in the City of London. He was a banker. He used to wear a black pinstripe suit with a white shirt and a red tie. And he used to have black shiny shoes. And people used to say when they met him, he was quite cold. And then when you got to know him, he was quite a warm person. And I was like, wow, and I was literally like, how did I do that? I didn't know how I did it, but it was, we'd been taught how to do it. So we swapped over. So now it was her turn. And this lady brought her daughter in to do the class as well, but she wasn't in she might have been the odd one out. So she wasn't in a pair. So she was just observing us. And, so I'd written down the name of one of my best friends, or name and address, or whatever. It's definitely the address, but I can't remember what details. And she sat there for a little bit and got quiet, and I could tell she was kind of thinking what I was thinking. I'm not going to come up with anything. And then she said, I can see this guy. He's quite short, maybe about 5'7". He's got red hair, freckles, kind of nice guy, cheeky chappy. And then she went all quiet. And then she went, oh. And her chest went all red. Like when sometimes some people get stressed, that their chest goes red. And she started crying. And she's like, I don't know why I'm crying. I can't stop crying. And then and her daughter's looking at her really concerned. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then I realized my friend's mum was dying of cancer.
Oh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But she described him to a T. I think she might have got his height by an inch wrong.
Wow.
Right? But redhead, freckles, really nice guy. And his mum was dying of cancer. So she took on his emotions, and then I understood why we were told that, right? Mm-hmm. Don't take on the person's emotions. So that for me was like, it really opened my eyes up to what's possible. And that was about 20 years ago now. And that made me realize, because I was a body talk practitioner at the time, I thought, oh, I can actually do this over a distance. Like, because I wasn't sure about it until I did that 2-day course. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, wow, this stuff, it works. So yeah, it's really interesting that, a machine can tap into someone just like a human can. There's almost a part of me that's a bit concerned about that, actually. A machine can do that. But as long as it's working for good, that's okay.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that if this technology is available for me to invest in and buy, there must be other technologies that are out there that I don't even know about,
Mm,
and I don't think that way. I don't let my thoughts go that way. I never do work without obtaining permission from someone. I mean,
mm,
even in short and body talk, even in Reiki, you never do anything without permission.
mm,
Uh, and I remember hearing stories of like, well, I tried to do this and I just kept feeling getting pushed away. And then them realizing, well, I didn't ask for permission and that wasn't what they
mm,
wanted. And, even subconsciously, we get that message. So as far as equipment, I'm not a fan of technology doing everything, but there is so much technology in the realm of health and support for our lives, and the right things do make a difference. And so when I found this and this complemented and allowed me to do things much faster, and also it helps my clients as well. Like there's less they need to tell me. And they can't even verbalize everything. It allows the process to go faster, the results to come faster, less guessing. For me, it's okay. And I think that's a decision everyone has to make with any technology. There's all kinds of technologies in our lives. I'm looking around my surroundings here. There are some that I don't love that we've
mm,
come to rely on, and
mm,
there are some that I don't use. So it's a conscious choice. And I find that energy medicine can work in so many ways. I wish everyone knew homeopathy. I wish
mm,
everyone knew how to just use their hands. We do it naturally. I wish that was more. I wish acupuncture was more available and it did not require so much specialization, that we could learn how to feel pulses, that we could learn how to feel and unblock, just like we know how to take care of ourselves. It's a wonderful modality. If there was equipment that helped me figure out which point was blocked, I think that would be a good thing. There's, the Rife machines and the Spooky 2 machines. Those things, are they good? Are they bad? Have they advanced the conversation? Or do we know more now about frequency medicine, about energy medicine? We do. Do we need to rely on them continuously? No. I think that what I'm using is a crutch. I would hope
mm,
that in the future we don't need to use it because people would know how to do this faster. We could be able to ask a series of questions or scan the whole body and zone into it and have that intuitive sense much more quickly. So that's my hope, is that we heal, we get rid of the nutritional imbalances, we remove the toxicities so that people can tap into that and feel that for themselves and then take care of their own families. It's not necessary to have equipment to take care of yourself and your family. It's not necessary to go to a specialist who in energy medicine of any kind that I've mentioned to do it. But until we know and we've rebuilt that lost information and reestablished the confidence and intuition, then we might need to use these things as crutches. And you and I and all of the other practitioners as guides to get there.
mm. You don't need a miracle cure, you just need clarity. Pain changes when you address its true causes, and food is one of the simplest and most powerful levers you can pull. The Pain Free Plate gives you 7 foods that help calm inflammation and support healing from the inside out. Download it free at bodycheck.co.uk/pain free plate. Now, let's get back to the show. Yeah, I can't remember if it was Rudolf Steiner or Carl Jung said humans will continue to invent new technology until they realize that it's a poor imitation of the technology that lies within them. right? I can't
Yeah,
remember which one of those said that, but oh, I'm paraphrasing. It might not be the
yeah.
exact words, but something along those lines. Um, so obviously, this podcast is all about helping people that are stuck in chronic pain. How does the testing that you do reveal the energetic or biochemical imbalances that might be keeping people stuck in pain?
Pain can be caused by a number of things: tight muscles, dehydrated tendons, emotions that are stuck there, out of alignment. So many things that it would take me lifetimes to study all those specialties and know.
Mm,
So I just ask the questions, and I pair bioenergetic testing with health coaching because I don't think in every situation customized homeopathic drops are enough. I do think we can get a lot further. Castor oil mixed with red pepper on that pain, amazing. If somebody's treating a knee problem, but the wastes are not moving because there's an elimination problem or the lymph is stagnant, and the knee guy doesn't know to ask those questions,
mm,
then there's help. So that's bioenergetic testing is a tool. It doesn't replace best practices across all modalities. And in many cases, yeah, maybe you need physical therapy. Maybe you
mm,
need there is something that needs to be manipulated. Maybe surgery is indicated. Maybe it's there is something. So it's a step in the right direction. I've had clients who have made incredible improvements and pain, but pain comes in many forms and variations for many reasons. So I would never pretend to say that this is going to get rid of anything. I'm
mm.
pretty certain there would be some improvement, whether it's enough for someone to feel like it's their quality of life is back. There's so many factors. What do you say to that? How do you address your form of intuiting and asking questions, just that part of it, not any of the other things? And how do you find that that helps with pain?
Well, I mean, obviously, I use many modalities to help people with pain, and I try to look at the human body from a purely holistic approach, not a, you know, I think sometimes people use that word holistic and it's not really holistic. Um, my main approach, if you like, is from the Czech Institute, the Czech approach, um, which has helped me massively over the last 24 years. But I also incorporate other things like functional medicine, hands-on, manual therapies, energy work, releasing emotional traumas. Um, so I look at it from many different angles, and I think I've got to the point in my career where my intuition is very good at leading me to the right things. But also, I very much work with people with a view of this is what I offer. What do you want to go with? Right. I mean, obviously, I'll give them an idea of what I think they should do. Right. Um, and I am doing less and less physical stuff with people. So, a big part of my work in the early 2000s, or the whole of the 2000s and even 2010s, was working on the structure, the posture, the alignment of the body. And I'm finding I'm just doing a lot less of that now, um, and still getting good results. But then there are people that absolutely have to do that. Otherwise they're not going to get the result. It's not just, you know, they need to improve their diet or they need to release some emotional trauma. their body's out of alignment and it's putting stress on tissues that can't cope, right? So, yeah, for me, it's a very holistic approach, and it's a combination of physical and non-physical from my perspective. That kind of leads me on nicely to my next question. So, again, as I've kind of alluded to, I do see people that come to see me and they might have been injured 10, 20, 30 years ago. The tissues have healed, but yet that area that they damaged is still in pain. From your perspective, why does pain persist even after, the mechanics are, let's call it, realigned? And what's really keeping the pain cycle active?
There's trauma there. There's still
Mm,
physical and emotional trauma there. There's scar tissue. There are nerve endings that are damaged. There's I I know that there is emotion that gets trapped in the body. I also think emotion goes in certain locations as well, that it's not just in some field outside of us. It is connected to those areas. And healing that, I mean, every time that there is a memory of the incident or the in conditions or the scenario or the location is similar to that incident, you might have trained your brain to push that away, or it might filter it out, but your body gets on high alert. And so that gets activated again. And when those nerve patterns are cycling over and over again, like caution, 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 we're on alert, and you don't even know that that's happening. That's something that practitioners like you or me or many others can interrupt, retrain, help heal so many different ways. And so often when I see clients with a chronic pain issue, they think it's done. They think that they did the physical therapy, they had the surgery, they did the physical therapy, it should be done. And it might have been done then, and you felt better for a little while, but now it's come up for healing. The residual trauma is ready to be healed. I take it as a sign of strength. Your body is ready to deal with this now. It could be overuse, and it's like, all right, this is failing because now we're still playing tennis or golf or whatever, and our shoulder or elbow are still aggregated. But if that's not the case, when old symptoms come back up, they're presenting themselves for the final healing. Like, let's get it out. And if if our liver is stagnant, if the lymph is not moving, if we're not eating the best, we're not able to take the wastes away and bring in the new blood. There's there is a real physical thing that's happening, but there's also an emotional, neurological part that's happening. So that's why I think the pain comes up. And I like to reframe it as it's here to serve you. It's a
mm,
message. It's not a warning light. It's not a sign to silence with pain medications. It's saying, you're strong enough. Now's the time. Let's do it because we've got other things to do and we can't be burdened by this pain anymore. It's time for this to fully heal.
mm. Yeah, I completely agree. I've always, I say always, for a long time now, I've felt that pain or any symptom is the way that your subconscious communicates with your conscious mind to say, look, there's an issue here, you need to deal with it, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
you need to improve your posture, or whether you need to stop eating fast food, or whether you need to deal with that emotional trauma from when you were 5 years old, or whatever it might be. It's trying to, you know, but if you if you cut the communication, which is what allopathic medicine does, you're not going to hear it. And whatever is troubling you under the surface is just going to build up and build up and build up. And it might get to the point where if you keep numbing the signal, you might get to the point of no return, but it might be too late to turn it around. Not to say that there isn't a place for allopathic medicine. In emergency situations, that's definitely
Mhm.
the place to be. But, my opinion is in most non-emergency situations, probably not the best place to be.
Correct. Yeah, and then it goes deeper or it moves on to the next joint or the next system, and it just gets buried a little more, and then it says,
Mm,
"Okay, it's going to mount an expression." And say, Now we got it. Now you're gonna listen." And it's gonna give a push of pain. Are you gonna listen? And if that gets suppressed, that's when we see the disease state that it really our bodies are always trying to protect us, so it's going to do something. It's going to encapsulate it. It's going to just really it's gonna start breaking it down more. It's gonna say, "Well,
mm,
this is not healthy. It's causing issues," so it will start breaking it down. Our body is never attacking us. It's always trying to support us and doesn't wanna get to those states, but that will happen if we
mm.
ignore it and choose other paths.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, again, talking of the allopathic system, it's a very passive system. It's a system where you're handing responsibility for your health to another person rather than taking active control of your own health and, healing yourself, which is the only person that can heal you at the end of the day. No one else can heal you. It's only you that can heal you. I don't see myself as a healer. I see
No,
myself more as an educator and a facilitator, but I'm not a healer. I can't heal another person,
no,
but I can point
no.
them in the right direction.
That's exactly right, and, I talked to a gentleman, probably a year ago, has a problem with an organ and said, "Well, they said it doesn't work anymore, so we're gonna have to take it out or we're gonna have to do these procedures, but it doesn't work. It just happens. It's kinda rare, but, it just happens, it doesn't work."
Mm,
And no responsibility whatsoever. It just this has happened, and finally admitted, "Well, there were some things they did back in my youth that probably wasn't such the best thing," and happens to be in a very toxic marriage and is always walking on eggshells, is always afraid. And that fear, wow, it just it's it's with the kidneys, it's with the bladder. It to to someone with eyes to see or an intuition to perceive, it's obvious.
mm,
But for many people, it's not their fault, and that message is more than ready to be handed out by primary care physicians or, doctors. They're just, "Oh, yeah, well, we don't know why this happened, and this is your we're gonna remove this or treat it this way," and, um, it makes me sad. It actually makes
mm.
me want to cry when I hear people giving up on themselves and not taking
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Something that we've spoken a little bit about already is emotions. And, we both know, and I'm sure most of my listeners know, you know, pain can be caused by emotions that are, unresolved emotions, emotions that haven't been released from the body. What are some of the emotional factors or unresolved patterns that traditional pain management tends to overlook, in your opinion?
So I'm not an expert in traditional pain management. Everything that I know is non-traditional. From what my clients tell me with what they've already been through is traditional pain management looks at the source of the pain and that's it. If there's a really good structural person on the team, they might see how a joint is connected uh, on the legs or the upper body or posture or something like that. But usually it's focused on you've got a shoulder issue, we're going to focus on shoulder pain. Let's not let's not pay attention to how your neck is bent over on your phone and how you're hunched and how you're flying in airplanes twice a month in a too small seat and how You haven't felt ever what it's like to release that. There's a modality I studied called Hana somatics, and it's
Mm-hmm.
about the
Thomas Hannah.
release. Yes, Thomas Hannah. Yes.
Mm,
In Buffalo, there is a student of Thomas Hannah, and I studied with her, and it's how to feel the release. And until you feel the release, you don't know what that's like because you've dulled the signals of just being tight, 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 tight.
mm,
Um, Shoulder, if we stay with that, hormonal issues, men and women. It is not a women's thing only, but fluctuating hormones in midlife, you're going to get some changes that need to be addressed. Balancing, increasing progesterone, things like that. It's part of the solution. Everyone's always looking for, like, what's the one thing I can do to fix this? And so I guess
mm,
with traditional pain medicine is that it isn't one thing. There's so many things, and we are not controlled experiments. So we should try them all. We should do as many as possible. That's There's so much more I could say, but
mm.
it's really about availing yourself of everything and not just looking to numb, but looking to
Yeah.
explore and knowing that it's a signal. There are wastes that need to be removed. There's fresh blood that needs to go in. So you need the nutrients, you need the lymph, liver, blood system working well. You were mentioning what is holistic. It, it's that, it's emotions,
Mm,
it's looking at everything. It's getting clients to realize when they have gone into a contracted position, what happens right before they start feeling the pain.
mm,
Noticing that awareness is part of it. Um, I don't think any of those questions are asked.
mm. Okay, so my final question. So, if someone's watching or listening right now who can feel that their body is trying to tell them something, but they're not sure what, how can they start decoding what their pain is actually communicating and begin addressing it?
So the way you can start is keeping track of how you feel when you get that pain, what you've eaten, who you've been with. So physically, emotionally, location wise, that's how you could start decoding it. And then I also suggest looking at other symptoms to wherever the pain is. If the pain is in your eyes, where else are you looking for support? Um, if the pain is in your ears, where else are you looking for support? If the pain is in, um, I would say your digestive system, there's a different, there are different things. It's a whole area, but beginning to be aware that none of these things are isolated and they all are connected. So noticing and writing them down is the first step because then you'll have more information. You will get more clues. Your body's talking to you. You will notice more things. And then when you talk to someone, you'll have a wealth of information instead of saying, I have this pain in my jaw and I don't know why. You will begin to, it's all in you.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. Well, this has been really, really fascinating conversation. What's next for you, Beth?
What's next for me? My
Mm-hmm.
my mission is to tell the world that energy medicine works. All forms of energy medicine, hands-on healing, acupuncture, homeopathy, bioenergetic testing, body talk, all the work that you do, all the work that I do, and everyone in between that is using the wisdom of the body so people can heal, that they know that. That's
Mm,
my mission. That's what's next for me. And I'm okay with being ahead of the curve, with talking about things using, like we discussed earlier in this conversation about, well, what is bioenergetic testing? I'm okay with that taking a little while to get through. I am
mm.
really not that good at explaining it. In fact, I typically don't explain it because it's those hows that really get people tripped up, and it is complicated to explain. It's not something
Mm,
that is easy to do. So what's next for me is the message that your body wants to heal.
yeah,
Ask, listen, and take action.
yeah, yeah. I do see energy medicine becoming more and more important as the coming years go by. I mean, again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but there's some rather sinister things in the pipeline for humanity. And, I think that it could play a very, very important role in keeping people healthy and well going forwards. But yeah, that's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. And where can people find you online? Like, where do you want to send people to find
Sure.
out more about you and your work?
The best place to go is my website, which is yourhealthwithbeth.com. And on that website, you'll find a button that says take a quiz. I have a 1-minute quiz. Answer 10 questions and you'll get some insights from me. You'll get access to a few voice notes. And that is the best way to learn more about me and my approach.
Awesome. Great stuff. Beth, thank you so much. It's been really interesting. Like, as I said, I'm a very inquisitive person and I like to understand things. So thanks for being patient with me as well and putting up with all my questions.
I loved it. It was wonderful.
Awesome. So that's it from Beth and me for this week. But be sure to tune in, same time, same place, next week on Beyond the Pain. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Pain. If this episode resonated, please follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone you know who's been struggling. And remember, pain is not permanent. With the right insight and support, you can turn it into power. Until next time, stay open, stay strong, and keep moving beyond the pain.